Just catching up on the chat, and welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the semifinals of the Sparkling Tuna Cup number 65, and we have our top two players. We have our two semifinals here ready for us, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is YoungYakov. Just took down Zan 2-1, and now he's up against SHIN. SHIN is the #1 seed. He's the favorite player here in the entire tournament. And can he be brought down? Can he be denied? Can YoungYakov cause another an upset? I don't want to say another upset because, again, Zan did only recently come back, so I didn't really know where to place Zan quite exactly against all these other players. And again, still looked quite good, but did fall at the hands of YoungYakov. We'll see if SHIN can avenge him. See if he can avenge Zan. For now, Hatchgas will standard opener out of SHIN, likewise standard opener out of YoungYakov as well. Standard openers all around. Also, if you're in the chat, before I forget, if you're in the chat, predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. But I was just catching up. I saw Gemini responded earlier. I kicked his wife off the side when he wasn't looking. Referring to the lovely sunset mountain climb that you had. Again, very, very romantic. Very romantic. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Shaking my head. Just catching up. And yes, Trigger is streaming his POV. That is true. Is streaming his POV, and we will get to the lower semifinals momentarily. We'll get there. We will get there. For now, openers are looking as they should. Link speed is on the way. Working towards our third bases and our gas geysers. We'll see if either player does decide to embrace something like an earlier or even a later expansion, an earlier Roach Warren. So far, though, third bases are being taken by both players, both SHIN and YoungYakov. Both players are taking their third bases. We shouldn't see either player skip out on the Bailey Nest either. Should be on the horizon. And we're settling in. Are going to be settling in. As a reminder as well, something that could be telling is that GG Machine earlier did take a map off of SHIN. I mean, just saying. I mean, it is a mirror matchup. That is typically where upsets can occur the most, whether it's PvP, ZvZ, or TvT. Can happen more often than some of the other matchups, I should emphasize. We do have our links on the way. Bailey Nest is being thrown down here by SHIN and YoungYakov. So far, everyone is playing standard. No one is cutting any corners. So far, so good. Lings will sip into the main. Oh. Roach Warren gets thrown down. YoungYakov will confirm. Will scout. We'll get eyes on what's going on. Likewise, SHIN getting a full scout as well, making sure there's no hidden Evo chamber, no fast +1 melee, +1 carapace. Just scouting, getting eyes on each other. Nothing major yet. Nice control with the Bailing, not wasting it either. Building up towards Roaches, towards +1 range. SHIN will have a slight upgrade lead with a faster Evo chamber, true. We'll be ahead in upgrades. Ooh, as... yeah, the first Bailing is going to be baited out. Not a bad trade for YoungYakov. Gets a Bailing. Roaches are amassing. And YoungYakov is going to be droning up a little bit further. SHIN not too far behind him. Both players droning. Getting up to 2.5 base saturation. Roaches are building up for YoungYakov. And again, it's a very delicate dance here in ZvZ with how you drone. You don't want to drone up too much or too little. As as YoungYakov is threading a move out, bearing in mind that he's still droning up behind this. Moving up with only Lings. Likewise, SHIN taking one Gas Geyser. YoungYakov staying on 4. SHIN also getting up to 4 gases. It is a... Oh, no! Ooh. Yeah, a little bit premature with that Baneling. Not like this. Lings getting caught out. But what I should say is that SHIN didn't take his gas in his main base, so it could look like he's being greedier than he is, depending on what YoungYakov sees. Meanwhile, YoungYakov just taking all gases. Droning up, getting up to 3 base saturation. SHIN does pick off a drone, being a little bit cheeky. And YoungYakov, he's gotten away with droning up to 57. Again, that's a lot of workers. And what does that mean? That means that SHIN does have the army lead. He's moving out. It's going to be Roachling here from SHIN. He's looking to knock down that 3rd base. And YoungYakov, has he been too greedy? Uh-oh. Again, there's that delicate balance between droning and making roaches. And SHIN has a massive supply lead. Pushing forward, there is a Spine Crawler. Ravager as well. So far, YoungYakov not getting a bad initial start to the engage, but Lings are coming in to reinforce. Ooh, Files connect. But SHIN is overwhelming. He just has far too much. Takes down the Spine Crawler, takes down the roaches. And YoungYakov was too greedy. He's getting caught with his pants down. Drone up to 58. Too many drones, too many workers. And SHIN will punish. Yeah, he's broken the 3rd base, getting into the mineral line. Reinforcements are on the way. But that's a lot of Ravagers being morphed in for SHIN. There could be too many. But with these reinforcements, and he's catching out the roaches. Ooh, Files connect. And that's going to be 13 drone kills. SHIN now taking a worker lead. And he might even just kill the 3rd. Yeah, denies the eggs. Takes down the 3rd base. And SHIN has too much. GG gets called. SHIN will take game number 1. GG. Again, both players that were keeping up with each other, but alas, YoungYakov, he did overdrone towards the end. You could definitely argue, if you remember, YoungYakov, he did scout that Gas Geyser at the 3rd, and that might have been his tell to drone. That typically is scouting gases and scouting saturation, so he might have just assumed that SHIN was building up towards the mid game and saturating his 3rd base. We know it was anything but that, as SHIN did just stay on 4 gases, did stay on the lower drone counts, and just committed. GG, well played. With that, SHIN takes a lead, and we'll see if he closes out 2-0, or if YoungYakov can bounce back. As we're getting into game number 2. Jumping into game 2. Zerg win for sure. That's a bold prediction. That's a bold move, Pappy. Bold move. I saw a Vital Classic earlier. Who is YoungYakov? Well played. YoungYakov. I mean, he's been a young up-and-comer for a long time. Did really kind of break into the scene during the COVID era of StarCraft, is what I will say. That's when he really got onto a lot of people's, or really gained a lot of attention, especially in EPT Europe. Definitely had very good performances. Did step away from the game for a while. I was a little bit afraid that he would have retired at the start of the year. Did take a break, did take some time off, and is now back in full swing. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have the player leading the series 1-0, representing Gaiman Gladiators from South Korea. It is SHIN. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the red Zerg player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is YoungYakov. Not so young anymore. He was young. I mean, maybe still is, technically. Yeah, younger than me. Smurge, Pappy, smurge. But yeah, YoungYakov, there was a lot of hype and a lot of talk around him, especially, 2020, 2021, 2022. If I remember correctly, I think it was the end of 2022 where YoungYakov, he did take, or he wasn't as active as he once was. He wasn't playing in as many online tournaments either. Did feel like he took a bit of a break from the game, and it wasn't until I want to say around April of this year, around April or so, like a couple of months into 2024, where YoungYakov started being active again, where he was, you know, dedicating a lot more time to StarCraft and did, you know, jump back into the scene, which was exciting. I was a little bit afraid that he would pull like a Soul Spirit. If you remember Soul Spirit, he was also a player that also kind of rose to popularity around 2020, 2021, 2022, and did kind of quietly retire. So I was a little bit concerned that that the same was going to happen to YoungYakov, but no, he came back, and he's looking quite good. I mean, hey, he just took down Zaun. Did bring Zaun down. And we'll see if he can force the ace match here against Shin. We shall see. So now, hash gas pools, standard openers. Going for our initial standard openers here. Likewise, link speed is on the way. Both players going for their third bases. So no one is playing two base roach or anything crazy like that. So far, everything looking as it should. Third base, into a Baneling Nest, into drones, into some lightning aggression. Baneling Nest has been thrown down for YoungYakov. Same for Shin. So far, so good. And again, you have to walk that fine line, especially against some of the more aggressive Korean Zerg players. I'm referring to Shin, I'm referring to Dark, and Solar as well. Like, they are also willing to just cut workers and just make a flood of Roachling and just catch you off guard. So it's all about scouting. Speaking of, YoungYakov does slip in with two lings. It's a natural, but is denied entry into the main. And Shin is making an extra pair of lings. 10 lings on the way. Defensive Banelings. Not just the one. Back at home, YoungYakov going into his own Roach Warren. And setting up defensively. Like Shin will slip into the natural and the main, gets a full scout, gets eyes on the second gas. That is a tell that YoungYakov wants to invest into roaches and Shin drones. Upon seeing the Shin will drone taking his own second gas as a response, later than that of YoungYakov. Yakov is moving out with Stumbling Bane. Oh, the shitty wants the Baneling. It doesn't quite get it. Not quite. YoungYakov has been able to squeeze out a couple of extra workers, both players building up their roaches, getting into their Evo chambers. And Shin was forced to actually make an extra pair of, or an extra wave of lings as well. He's gonna have to counterattack. Joining up behind this. Shin threatening a push. You can see he does reveal his army here to the Overlords. There is Lingbane in position. And Shin has no real intention of committing. He's just trying to force his opponent to make roaches. Clicks in. Behind this, Shin has been droning. Likewise, so is YoungYakov. Didn't overreact. So far, a good call here from our Red Zerg player. Getting up to 5 gases. Is that a manual detonation? Did I miss a link slipping in? Regardless. Baneling goes down. Lane does get eyes on the gas geyser, but again, Shin is only on 4 gases, now taking a 5th. 5th gas geyser on the way. Shin is actually droning. He's droning up, building up towards a longer game state. So is YoungYakov. +1 is comparable between the players. Overseer will confirm the gases, will confirm the saturation. Shin is aware. Oh, another Baneling going down as well. That was actually a Baneling for a Changeling. So once again, some slightly better trades for Shin. Slightly. Great minds think alike. Overseer goes down. Instantly Spire. Instantly Spire here at the natural for YoungYakov. And same can be said for Shin. Both players just rushing into their mute attack. Let's go. And they're going to have a much more passive mid-game as a result. I say that SHIN is actually droning up a little bit further. Getting ready for his fourth. YoungYakov taking his own. Similar worker counts. Similar enough. Now, what I'm a little bit concerned by here is I believe YoungYakov, yeah, he will have the greater Roach army. Overseer gets a scout. YoungYakov, he spots a Spire. YoungYakov is aware at the same time. SHIN moving out with Ling Rumbai at the fourth, and Roach is towards left-hand side. But YoungYakov, he has plenty on the ground. He should be able to hold his own. He does affect SHIN. SHIN is forced back. Ooh, but the base was denied. Yeah, the fourth base was cancelled. The drone as well. The drone gets sniped. Nice pick off here by SHIN. SHIN is now going to be up on an expansion. Both players are finishing up their Spires. And I believe SHIN has not scouted the natural yet. SHIN is unaware. SHIN is in the dark. Lings, they rock up once again, and that's a kill! Ooh, that's a kill, not a cancel. 300 minerals down the drain. YoungYakov pushing out across the map into a concave. Up a ramp. And SHIN is ready for this. Oh my god. Does punish. Now YoungYakov is making more mutas. He's making 11 mutas as opposed to the 3 of SHIN. So YoungYakov will have air control. The Overseer does confirm the muta production. SHIN, he starts up Corruptors instead. And despite SHIN trading initially better with the Roaches, it may not matter. Because he has to back off. He does retreat. Roaches getting caught out. Mutas are building up. Now the mutas were spotted. YoungYakov hasn't gotten much with it yet, just the Overseer. And he's up to how many? He's up to 14 mutas. That's a lot of muta for YoungYakov. But again, because he got scouted, SHIN is building up a greater Corruptor army. Muta count is revealed. That's a lot of mutas. Yeah, SHIN has to reinvest into more Corruptors. Gets caught out. This is gonna be 3 mutas going down. And YoungYakov with the mass muta, can he overwhelm? Falls back to a Spore. Roach is forced to pull back, trying to tank some Mutaglaves. For those that are curious, mutas, they have, like, in a way, splash damage. They have glaives that bounce from unit to unit. And if you have a unit on the ground, then it can soak some shots. And it'll preserve your Corruptors. So we do see SHIN moving out. SHIN still with the greater Roach army. Yeah, the Corruptors, they zone back the mutas, and SHIN is pushing through. The mutas, they can eventually win this fight, but the Corruptors are so tanky. They're buying a lot of time. And at the same time, in the meantime, we have SHIN breaking through. Pushes in towards that third base. Pushing into a concave. But last still has the greater Roach count. As pulling back. The mutas will punish this. Not bad. Ling Rumbai at the same time. YoungYakov. Not bad. Punishes the Roaches. SHIN, he's plummeting in supply. Uh-oh. SHIN, he is in trouble. Leads out a lot of Roaches and 4 drones. The Lings did a lot. The muta counts are looking healthy. 18 mutas for YoungYakov. Behind this, he's investing into Hydras. Hydrogen has been thrown down, +2. It looks like YoungYakov, he's done with mutas. Like, he has 18, true, but he's not really too interested in investing any further. And he's not doing too badly here. Gets a Gas Geyser. Ooh, can't quite push into Roach Ravager, though. Gets 3 extra workers. And Yako with the slight worker lead, but the mutas are being pinned down. Again, that's a lot of Corruptor. That's 17 Corruptors. And YoungYakov, he can no longer engage. He is getting into Hydra production, though. Oof. Speaking of Corruptors, they're catching Overlords. They reign supreme in the air. SHIN does have air control. Mutas were bullied back. The Biles! The Biles catch out the mutas. The muta count's going to be reset. Hydras are on the way, but they're not ready. And not just yet. As the mutas are falling, the roaches as well. And SHIN, he wants the Hydras. Does start to step forward. The Hydras are so fragile. And SHIN, he's overwhelming. It's snowballing out of control. Takes down every single Hydra. There's one Hydra left. YoungYakov barely holding on to his third, but the Corruptors are still not done. They get every single muta. GG gets called. It's just too much. And SHIN will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. SHIN able to just be too much to handle here. Again, both players working towards their spires. We had one player going mass muta. SHIN responded with Corruptor. Corruptor doesn't really have the highest attack rate, but they're very tanky, and they do outtrade mutas in that head-to-head battle. Ideally, YoungYakov wanted to avoid the fights and avoid the Corruptors, but he got pinned down, he got cornered in a sense, and the mutas couldn't really quite escape. Likewise, YoungYakov was in the middle of transitioning into Hydra, which would have been a little bit better, into Hydra Lurker, but didn't quite get there in time. SHIN did overwhelm, and GG. GG, well played. Whew. SHIN does take it in the end, and SHIN is our first player to advance onto the grand finals, but the question becomes, who will face off against him? Who is up against SHIN in those finals? Who's it going to be? As we head on over to the bracket and scroll down to figure out what exactly has been going on.